And in this video, we want to talk to you about the obesity paradox. And we want to talk to you about it because recently somebody asked us about our thoughts on an old article from 2013. And I can't remember what it was published in, but the article basically talks about some old school work of Dr. Flegal, who was the original individual to bring this obesity paradox to light.
And what exactly is the obesity paradox?
Yeah, so the obesity paradox, I'm sure many of you are familiar with, even if you can't quite put a name to it yet. Well, now you can. It's that paradox where people who are overweight or possibly obese actually live longer than people that are at a normal body weight. And this is an idea that gets thrown around by many groups, one of them being the health at every size movement. And they try to use it to justify being overweight or obese and downplay the risks associated with those conditions. Yeah. And so, I mean, the original research that got this started is exactly kind of as it sounds. It was first a single study showing the lowest risk of death was in people who had a BMI of around 27, 28. And then Flegal pooled data from 93 different studies into this huge meta-analysis and found similar findings. And that's kind of how it started. But the entire idea of the obesity paradox was born from really, really poor research methodology methods that don't actually isolate the effect of someone's body composition. So first and foremost, I'll say that we have actual meta-analyses of intervention studies showing that if you take obese people, have them lose weight, they reduce their risk of dying prematurely by about 20%. So, I mean, that alone establishes cause and effect much more than any of this observational research will.
So why do you think that they observed these people living longer?
Well, I think one of the biggest reasons is actually similar to what happened with you when you were first diagnosed with cancer. So think about it this way. You're obviously not obese. You've always been at a very lean, healthy body composition. But when you were diagnosed with cancer, you went through surgeries. You were lying in bed for like weeks. You couldn't move. You lost muscle tissue. You lost weight. And this actually happens in research in general. So what Flegal did is she just looked at the BMI of people when they died, whereas subsequent research tried to get over this hump by looking at the maximum BMI of people. Why is that important? Because imagine you're obese. Obesity gives you cancer, and then that cancer causes you to waste away and lose weight because of increases in metabolic rate and reductions in appetite. It wasn't that. And so then by the time you die, you're at a normal body weight. But it wasn't that being at a normal body weight was, more harmful. It was
factor in the death.
Yeah, it's that a lot of conditions that kill older adults cause wasting simultaneously. So their BMI at the time of death is lower than it is, otherwise.
I've heard a lot of older people use that too, though, that they want that buffer in case they get sick. What do you think about that?
I think that that's a valid line of reasoning, but what they're forgetting is that there's a difference between body weight and muscle mass, right?
Yep.
You want to have weight to lose, so to speak, but not fat mass, because when you take studies and that actually assess people's body composition, you find that even being underweight, like under a BMI of 20, the risk of death is only increased if that low BMI comes at the cost of muscle mass. If you find people where muscle mass is maintained and they just keep reducing fat mass, risk of death doesn't increase. It actually just continues to get lower, so that the lowest risk of death is having a BMI between 20 and I think 23 or 24.
Which is a lot leaner than most of our population.
Yeah, exactly. So the point being is that the obesity paradox was kind of a fallacy that was just born of inappropriate statistical methods of trying to assess that type of relationship. And again, subsequent really large studies have shown that when you take things like a person's maximum BMI, like they were obese, but then they lost weight because of that cancer or whatever. When you take that into account, along with other factors like smoking, and you remove the first 5 years of data collection to ensure that those pre-existing diseases don't cause weight loss while simultaneously killing you, then you discover that the lowest risk of death is, again, between a BMI of like 20 and 23 or 24.
So share this with all your health at every size friends.
Yeah, exactly. And so we talk about this in depth and cover all of the research in our Fat Loss Blueprint program right in the very first lesson to help you understand why fat loss matters and why it's not healthy to maintain an overweight or obese body composition. If you're interested in learning that information as well as what to do about it, then just go to alexleaf.com/fat loss blueprint and you can purchase the program there. So if you like this video, then awesome. That's what we're trying to do.
If you have any questions, ask in the comments.
Yeah, and share it with all your friends. Thanks, guys.